All right, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Ernie Delgado. I am the co-founder and CEO of Beyond Technology Education. And I guess I'd like to thank you, first of all, for attending. Technology planning for many people is an ongoing process, and it can be very frustrating and sometimes maybe underwhelming. Maybe you're not happy with what you've done, you're not seeing progress. And as you know, every day our students are getting closer and closer to their futures. How do we prepare them? How do we make sure they have the tools to be successful, to be competitive? Well, we've been in this arena for 20 years now. Yeah, we're actually a 20-year-old EdTech company, believe it or not. And so with that, we've learned a thing or two. And in the early days, a bulk of our work was around technology planning and helping schools and school districts get funds, both federal and state funds. And what we learned, pretty quickly into that process is that every time we did a technology plan, and trust me, we got paid very well to do that, it always came back to these 5 categories. And so when we developed the swim grid model, it's really a way to organize a technology planning concept for a school to make it more efficient, to shorten the learning curve, and to be sure that you have a very solid and effective model in place that you could measure success, and as you could train your staff, and parents can be impressed with what you're providing. And not only that, students are prepared for the next level. If you're a K-8, your students are going to be off the charts in high school with their technology skills. If you're a high school, they're going to college or into their careers with the tools to be competitive. So let me get into this, and let's talk about why. Well, obviously, some of you may have seen some of these slides before, but you know, we still see a lot of traditional classrooms out there. Not that's good or bad, but you kind of have to think about where your students are coming from and what they have access to, and the tools that they're using. They're on a whole nother level. They have networks in their homes. They have multiple game machines. They have 75-inch 4K TVs and all the devices on the planet. And so sometimes messaging and getting through to students is a little more difficult if you're using traditional methods when they live in a more technical world. How can we get ready for that? How can we catch up to that, I should say, and make sure that we're competing with the tools that the students are using already? And I like to take a look at this list, and this is an ongoing list. This is always changing, but what are some of the game changers just in our world right now that could change the lives of your students, could change all of our lives? A lot of these things are already happening, and know it or not know it, are already changing our lives. So you look at these technologies, and you have to ask yourself, one or several of these things is really going to be a game changer for us, for our students. How do we prepare them for that? I'm not saying you have to do all this stuff in your schools, but you need to create an environment where these things can be talked about, discussed, researched, because no longer are the only options, doctor, lawyer, teacher, fireman, policeman, military. Your students have lots of other options, and there's a lot more technical fields that students should be prepared for, and it should start in their elementary grade levels. Yeah, so let's talk about why are these things changing the world? Why are they important? Why are they critical? And it really comes down to exponential growth. And a lot of us are aware of Moore's law, processing power, the little chips that are in our computers and our phones and our watches. Those change, they double every 18 months. That's been a fact, I think, since the 70s or maybe the late 60s. But there's another multiplier effect as well that has caused, and it's called exponential growth. And just to put it in comparison to traditional growth, 2 + 2 is 4, 4 + 2 is 6, 6 + 2 is 8, 8 + 2 is 10. All right, I'm going to take off my shoes to go any higher than that. But exponential growth is different. 2 × 2 is 4. 4 × 4 is 16. 16 × 16 is 256. 256 times 256 is 65,536. The next one is over 16 million. And the next one is a number that I don't even know what that number is, 281 kajillion. But so you see what I mean? It's really created rapid growth, rapid change in so many things, mostly technology driven things. And you look at some of the things that we have, we have electric cars now. We have reusable rockets that go into space and come back and land simultaneously. We have these amazing technologies that are just kind of off the charts. And so we're kind of at this time when things are really evolving quickly, and you have to kind of look at our environments. The world is evolving. Is education advancing fast enough to keep up with the changes? And that's a whole nother debate right there. In my opinion, I think we're a little behind the curve, and there's work that needs to be done so that our school systems can help students be prepared for their future, not our past. That's a huge statement, but it's true. How do we make sure they have the skills for tomorrow? Well, we could start by just talking about the skills that they'll need for tomorrow. Let's look at data. What are the fastest growing jobs in America? Renewable energy is 1 and 3. Data science is 4, 7, and 9. Healthcare is the rest. I mean, those are the fastest growing job categories in America. Now, I know regionally this changes up and down, and it's a little different for everybody, but it gives you a sense of where things are headed. And as an educator, are we preparing our students for these kind of things, or are we, making sure students are aware of some of the things that might come up? A lot of statistics say there's going to be this huge shortage. This was actually from a few years back, and I don't know how current it is, but it gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. We need to get things going faster. We need to teach better, faster, and help these students understand the tools and not slow them down, but give them a roadmap and a super highway to propel their learning forward, so they have the abilities to be competitive. Obviously, technology in schools, I guess that's because I've been doing it for 20 years or 30 years, actually. Technology has really provided these opportunities, these windows into other places, into other areas. And, teachers are kind of the knowledge keepers always. And now they have tools to help them, get into more areas that maybe they're not even aware of. I just had this conversation yesterday with someone, a professor, who said it's always challenging. You always want to be a step ahead of your students, but sometimes that's impossible. Your students have all these interests and they're all doing all sorts of stuff. And as a teacher, I don't know that you could always know more than your students anymore. I don't think that's the case. But what you can do is you can collaborate, and you can make sure that you can help the group find the answers necessary. Technology provides all that. So let's talk about a couple trends. Technology is exploding. The fastest growing group of users, ages 36 to 65, which is, a big majority of classroom teachers are kind of those veteran educators, are using technology more than ever. And this is one thing that I noticed, again, being in this field for 30 years, 20 years as Beyond Technology. That's kind of the bottleneck has always been teachers' ability levels. If you have a school with 30, 40, 50 teachers, that's 30, 40, 50 ability levels all over the map. And some of them not very strong with technology. That isn't nearly as big of a challenge as it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, it was one of the largest challenges. Today, it's somewhat of a challenge, but it's not the biggest challenge anymore. Teachers are prepared. They have access to technology. They know technology. What they need now is assistance in how to apply it to what they do, which is teaching in the classroom. They need confidence, competence, and content, which is what we provide. I'll get into that. We talked about the future requires different skill sets. Corporate America is paying attention to what we're doing here. K-12, what are we doing? We need to prepare these kids better. And then the one-to-one, that when every student has a device, if it's a Chromebook or an iPad or a laptop or whatever it is that you've chosen for your school, it really creates two separate issues. One, is now you need to find something for these kids to do with that device all day, every day. Because with lack of a plan or lack of content that calls for those devices, and you just leave kids on their own, that could be challenging. And some of you know what I'm talking about. Just if you just let them go without direction, that's not a plan. That's lack of a plan. And you know what happens when you fail to plan. That means you're planning to fail. But when you have a plan in place, now that device becomes an asset. It becomes part of the collaborative effort. And now you have the network effect in your classrooms with the teachers leading the charge, with maybe a tech specialist helping out, maybe some IT people keeping things moving smoothly. But all of this stuff comes together. And this is what we've actually helped schools achieve through something we call SwimGrid. A very clear strategy. It's 5 things really. And I mentioned that, we spend a lot of our early years developing technology plans. These are the 5 areas that every plan that we ever did, for the most part, it fell into these areas. Number 1, curriculum, computer science curriculum. Have you thought about that? Are you just letting students figure it out? Or is there a real plan starting in kindergarten, on a scope and sequence, project based, to make sure students understand all the fundamentals, and then they work up into more advanced tools. And by the time, by the time students are in 8th grade, they should have all the technology they'll ever need. That's kind of how we feel about it. So that's part of it. That's part of it. Making sure you have a solid technology curriculum, computer science curriculum. And I'll get into it. I have a slide that gives you real specifics on what that means. Professional development, making sure your teachers are comfortable. I mentioned the 3 C's: confidence, competence, and content. You want to make sure your teachers have those 3 C's, because with the lack of that, and the students driving the bus, there's going to be some issues. They need to be part of the process, and that comes from training. We do tons of training, online training, in on-site training, making sure teachers have those 3 C's. And then there's going to be times when you want to do something awesome with technology. I went to a conference and I saw something that happened there, or I read this newsletter, or I was on Teachers Pay Teachers, and there's something really incredible that I think can be done here. Well, we have a whole team of instructional designers that will partner with your teachers and develop custom lessons. So those are really the 3 main parts of the SwimGrid: computer science curriculum, professional development, and custom lessons, which we call integration projects. And those 3 things work together to make sure technology is part of the fabric of your school's curriculum. We also assign a project manager, someone from our team that just makes sure the whole thing moves the way it's supposed to. And then obviously at some point, someone needs to make sure all this stuff works. Someone needs to make sure your networks are upgraded, that you got the internet access you should be getting. And so we do have a tech support function for schools that need that. So, when it comes to professional development, there's a lot of different ways to do it. We break it into 3 different categories, and there's so many different things. Google Workspace for Education is big with Google Classroom. We do tons of training on that. Canva for educators. Canva is an up and coming tool, free for education. It's awesome. Apple tools, iPad support, all that. We do all of it. So the 3 categories of training are really large group training, where something everyone needs to understand Google Classroom. So we'll do a training for the whole staff. It could be virtual, it could be on site. And that's a way to get the whole group up to speed on tools that everyone's going to be using. The second level of training would be grade level specific, or subject specific. And so we're just working with 5th grade teachers or 10th grade math department, whatever it is. And then the third category of training, I can't express enough how important this is, but it's one-on-one coaching. We'll actually sit down with one teacher and just hold their hand through the process and make sure they have all the tools and have all the content they need, and really help them with their specific issues in the classroom, and to make sure that we address exactly what it is they need. Because as I mentioned, when you have a large group of teachers, you're going to have that small percentage that are maybe still a little bit behind the curve, and they're going to need that one-on-one. So large group, subject specific or grade level, and then one-on-one coaching. And PD is just critical. And every teacher will tell you that technology is critical. There was a survey done by Edudemic. Most teachers said yes, it's absolutely essential, but then most of them went on to say that they're not using it the way they should, and then the ones that are using it the way they should are spending too much time, and that becomes the issue. To do this right, a teacher has to invest a lot of time into their classroom, into their curriculum, and they really need to get on board and figure out, and it takes time. It takes a ton of time. So if that teacher can find a service like ours, an outsource, and have that team of experts, educational, instructional designers, do that heavy lifting for them, they love it. And then on the other side of the equation, the teachers that don't have the time or don't have the ability, they also love that now they could outsource this critical part of a successful technology program. Outsource it. That's what we are. We solve that problem. So I mentioned this slide that I wanted to share with you. I love this slide because it really gives you a really strong visual on what we're trying to help schools achieve. Now let's start with level 5, because some people say, what, gene editing? I don't, we're not going to be editing genes in our 4th grade classrooms. I agree with you. If level 5 are things maybe you're not doing, but at least maybe through research or conversation or discussion, at some point students should be aware of these things. Just like the game changers I talked about in the beginning, we need to create an environment where people are having these conversations, students and teachers, at some point. But level 1 through 3, in my opinion, are mandatory skills. Every student should understand level 1, 2, and 3, just without a doubt. These are tools for life. These are tools that will help you be successful in high school, in college, in career, and wherever you go. Level 1, 2, 3 are critical, and our curriculum knocks it out of the park on all 3 levels. This is what we do. We do it really well. I don't think anyone does it as well as we do. And again, I will pat myself on the back there real quick. Let's talk about level 4, because this is where I see a lot of schools spending a lot of time, because it's fancy. It's noticeable. It's shiny, and parents love it. And obviously, we want to make sure the parents are happy. And some of these things are really good things to do. I love 3D printing in classrooms. I love the robotics teams. We partner with a couple companies. VR is on the horizon, will be a major thing in classrooms. Drone certification. I love these things, and we help schools do these things. But my, I guess my concern is you don't want to do level 4 if you're not doing level 1, 2, and 3, because level 1 is just mandatory. Level 4 is nice. Level 4 would be nice to do, and we help you do that, but not at the expense of level 1, 2, and 3. So I'll get off my soapbox. Make sure your students know how to edit a document. Make sure your students know how to create and edit a video. Make sure they know how to understand formulas in a spreadsheet, in some basic coding skills. I mean, these are things that are just necessary. Digital citizenship, all these things. And so I will say that one of the big changes that's happening is some of our partnerships. And one of our big partnerships is with a group called Canva. Not Canvas. Canvas is a LMS. Canva is a creativity suite that is free for educators. Canva.com, and Beyond Technology is all in with Canva. So a lot of the creativity parts in our curriculum are going to be driven through Canva, because students could use it at home for free, teachers could use it at home for free, and it's just powerful tools. I would say Canva is at a place today where Google was, say, 10 years ago, kind of just getting into education, and now they kind of own education in a way. Canva is there. They're creating a whole a whole network, or a whole slew of tools that will be useful for classroom teachers. Screencasting, presentation, there's all kinds of things. So a lot of the stuff that we're doing now, sorry I didn't have a chance to make this slide look pretty, but next year I really wanted to focus on the themes that we're getting into, because although our big picture, we want to teach those level 1, 2, and 3, we do it through project-based learning, and our themes are grit, becoming a goal-getter, relationships, and skills to build your relationships and make them better, making responsible choices, and instilling a growth mindset. Those are the four the quarterly themes, but each project has its own unique theme, but that kind of gives you an outline of what we're trying to accomplish here. And the big picture next year is creating world changers. That's kind of what we're all about. So I put this slide up. If you're watching this on video, pause it. You can read through it. But I really wanted to highlight some of our partners, because this is where things are getting really interesting with Beyond Technology Education, and the fact that we are evolving to a new level. I mentioned Canva, Common Sense Education. We're in conversations with many of these companies, or already partnered formally with them. We're excited about CodeStop, which is a programming tool. Also working with Lego League and Wonder Workshop on robotics. On the IT side, if you're in California in particular, Formation Tech is our IT support team here in the southern part of California, and then Salesian Academy in the Bay Area. And then Curriculum Track. We love Curriculum Track. We are now embedded within their curriculum mapping software. If you don't know Curriculum Track, or if you have been trying to figure out how to do curriculum mapping, that is your tool, and Beyond Technology is already part of that tool. And then Funds for Solar is a venture where that helps schools with renewable energy curriculum and fundraisers by helping your families lower their expenses by going with solar, rooftop solar. So all these things are designed to help you as a school just go to the next level. Through our partners, through our curriculum, we are creating more advanced modules as we move forward, kind of working on some of those level 3, level 4 areas, programming in particular. And again, many of you know our curriculum. We have a whole nother webinar specifically on our curriculum. But again, if you want to pause this screen, you can read through that. It's very robust. I'm not going to get into every project, because there's a lot of them, but choosing perseverance, healthy choices, social and emotional choices, learning choices, learning choices and goals, goal setting, digital classroom citizenship. Again, pause it if you want to read more. I'm going to go to the next slide. Choosing time wisely, SMART goals and content creation, how to listen and respond, healthier food choices, growth mindset. And then on into middle school, the power of self-discipline. I love some of these projects that we put together. The importance of integrity, social media etiquette, helping others grow, taking on new challenges. And I really have to take my hat off. Jennifer Golich was our previous curriculum director, got us to this point, and then, or got us to last year's point, and then Laura Lynn Vasquez, who is our new curriculum director, has really taken it to a whole nother level. And a lot of these themes were developed by her, and a lot of the projects are developed by her. So pretty powerful stuff. This is the old curriculum. And so the third area I mentioned earlier was the integration part, those custom lessons. And I can't say enough how powerful these are, because these custom lessons are, if your teachers have ideas, but they don't have the time or the ability to turn that idea into an actual technology driven project, well, now they can. We're your outsourced integration specialist team. And then I mentioned in infrastructure, we have partners to help do these things. We could come in and help you with upgrading servers, classroom tech, office tech, help you with your wireless internet, help you get a nice connection to your school. All that stuff we could help you with. And then something I'm really happy about is our project management component. Someone from our team that just plugs in and makes sure that everything goes smooth. And when things don't go smooth, there's someone there to catch it. If something falls through the cracks, they catch it and they fix it. And And a lot of this is done in a 4-year timeline. So when we develop the swim grid model for you, we will have a roadmap for 4 years. Do we have some schools that do 3 years or 1 year? Yes, we do, but we will build a 4-year roadmap, and then we'll go to the next step and see how to make that happen. And so I'm hoping that I've spurred your interest and that this is something you're interested in learning more about. So let's see how this could work at your school or your district. We actually are doing some things with whole countries and multiple schools. So, it's not difficult to at least tap into what we have and to learn how it can be applied at your setting, at your school site. We usually do an initial presentation, which is basically what you just did. Just learn about the model, understand what we've built. We have lots of references, lots of samples. If there's time, or if there's a site in your area, we could do a site visit, physical site visit, or we could just have you call people. And from there, I dig in and do an analysis of what you're trying to accomplish as a school and put together a proposal. So we're right at that stage of the year where it's time to get the numbers in your hands. Let's talk to your board. Let's talk to your parents. Let's get something locked in. In August, first week of August is when we will be doing our training. And that's when, if you have a computer teacher, that's something we could help you with. If you don't have a computer teacher, we could provide a computer teacher, or we could train your staff, whatever. We usually do training in August and get things started in September. So time to start this over again. The school year, it has almost completed itself. A lot of people are preparing for next year. And if you're interested in a 4-year model that just completely takes care of itself, you don't need to be overly involved. We do the heavy lifting, and we make you look good, and we make your school look good, and we prepare your students for the future. So plug in, reach out to us. Again, my name is Ernie. You can reach out to me, Ernie at beyondk12.com. See us on any of your social media feeds at Beyond K12, or visit our website and learn more and fill out one of our response forms. But I thank you for your time, and we are right at 30 minutes, it looks like, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, reach out to us. Let's at least develop a proposal so you have numbers to compare to other options. And we have the fundraising tools to help you raise the money to pay for this. We've done things for $2 a student. We've done things for $50 a student. So it gives you a range on how this thing would come out to financially. But anyway, with that, I look forward to hearing from you. You take care, and thank you for your time.